Welcome, dear students, to another video lecture series in our Aryabhatta digital classes. Today we are going to discuss the solid state unit 1 from book 1. So we were discussing organic chemistry in the last video lectures. So we have decided that few parts from book 1 will also be covered. Now, as I discussed the book 2 syllabus, the entire chemistry syllabus, then I told you that this chapter carries 4 marks in the final examination, and we have 4 chapters, total 5 chapters in the physical chemistry part, the solid state, solutions, electrochemistry and chemical kinetics, and then surface chemistry. So we will start with the solid state. Now before going to the solid state, we all know that in general we have 3 different states of matters, and these are solids, liquids and gases. And how solid differ from liquid and gases? So we have seen in class 11 in gaseous state chapter that in the gaseous state we have seen that, or actually you have seen this difference in class 9 and 10 also, that solids or liquids or gases, everything around us are made up of or are constituted by small particles, and these particles are very, very small, So, it depends on those small particles, that how or what will be the state of a particular material. Then you know that when the constituent particles are very close to each other, when they are very close to each other, they form a solid structure. It's the intermolecular distance between the different molecules. Like suppose if we take water, then we don't have, in day-to-day life we don't use one molecule of water, we have a bottle of water. Suppose like we have a sanitizer bottle and there is liquid inside, and this body is made up of plastic. So we don't have one molecule of isopropyl alcohol here, we have millions of isopropyl molecule in the solution. So what is happening? We have different molecules, and these molecules interact with each other. Like suppose if I have a glass of water, then I have billions of H2O molecules. And these molecules interact with each other in a peculiar manner. And the way water interact with each other, oxygen molecules won't interact in the same way. Or suppose if I take sodium chloride, the common salt that we use in the kitchen, they also do not interact in the same fashion. So they all have different intermolecular interactions. And depending on these intermolecular interactions, we know that the physical state of a matter depends. If the intermolecular interaction is very, very good, then what will happen? The molecules will remain very, very close to each other. And then this intermolecular distance, what is intermolecular distance? Intermolecular distance is separation between 2 constituent molecules. So when this intermolecular distance is very, very small, the physical state is solid state. When these intermolecular distances are intermediate, then they are liquids, and when they are far apart, they are gases. And we can observe that since gases gas molecules have a very weaker intermolecular interaction. That's why what happens if we have any gas, like suppose if I use an incense stick here, then what will happen? The smoke will spread automatically. Okay, why? Because the molecules, you know, cannot stick to each other, they cannot attract each other so powerfully. So that's why they move in random directions because of the intermolecular random intermolecular movements. Gas molecules will do what? They'll flow. Okay, even liquids, if I pour down a glass of water, it will flow because of the same reason, since the intermolecular interaction is not as good as it was in solid. So basically liquids and gases are collectively they are called fluids. And why they are called fluids? Because they can flow. Okay, so about the gaseous state of the matter, you must have studied in class 11 the gaseous state. What are the properties of gaseous state, what are the different physical and chemical aspects of the gaseous state. We have discussed it in class 11. Now in class 12 we will discuss about the solid state of the same matter. Okay, how the solid state will look, what are the different aspects of solid state. Okay, how solids are actually arranged in atomic level or molecular level, what is the arrangement of the solid. Okay, and what kind of are these elements arrangements different. Okay, that means if all the arrangements are of the same kind or we have different arrangements for the solids, we will see all these things. Okay, so before going to that, we will discuss a few things, properties of solid. Okay, and we all know these things. Okay, properties of solids, so we know because we observe or we are surrounded by solid objects all around us. So it's not that difficult to predict their properties. आपके चारों तरफ तो सॉलिड्स हैं ही, ये बोर्ड सॉलिड है, आपका बॉडी जो हमारा बॉडी है, ये बॉडी ही एक सॉलिड स्ट्रक्चर है. ठीक है, एंड डेस्क, बेंच, योर बेड, टीवी, रिमोट, मोबाइल, एवरीथिंग इज सॉलिड. सो सॉलिड्स का मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल पे, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल, तो मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल पे सॉलिड्स का या फिर इवन माइक्रो लेवल से हम अगर मैक्रो लेवल पे आ जाए तो मैक्रो लेवल पर भी व्हाट आर द प्राइम फीचर्स ऑफ सॉलिड्स. सो द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन गैस, लिक्विड एंड सॉलिड इज लाइक यू सी in this bottle is solid and it has a definite shape. Okay, its shape is not changing, but see the liquid inside, if I tilt it, it takes this shape. If I take it like this, it has a different shape. So liquids and gases don't have their perfect shape. The container that you will use, it will take the shape of the container. Okay, जैसे कंटेनर में हम डालेंगे उसका शेप वैसा ही हो जाएगा लिक्विड्स का. गैसेस भी उसी तरीके के होते हैं, बट सॉलिड्स आर डिफरेंट. सॉलिड्स आर डिफरेंट, दे हैव देयर ओन फिक्स्ड शेप. ओके, देन सॉलिड्स हैव अ डेफिनेट वॉल्यूम. Okay, solids have a definite volume. Like suppose this duster, it has a dimension, length, breadth and height. Okay, and it has a, if I press it, okay, the volume is not changing. Okay, the volume is not changing because it has a solid structure, so its volume is fixed. Okay, but if I take gas, then we know we can compress a gas. Okay, so its volume is not fixed. If we compress that gas, the volume will change, the volume will decrease, or if we expand, the volume will increase. So depending on what we are doing, the volume of gases and liquids may change, but the volume of solid remains constant. Okay. Then coming back to the molecular level, okay, in the molecular level, what is the difference? The intermolecular interaction is very good in solids. Obviously, if intermolecular interactions are not good, then how the molecules will stay together? Because in order to be in the solid phase, the molecules must stay very close to each other, okay, because it's all about the spacing between the constituent molecules. Okay, so the intermolecular interaction is very good. Okay, now we will see that is there any classification in solids. So yes, there can be different type of solids. The first classification that we will see in solid is a crystalline solid, and amorphous solid. Okay, so crystalline and amorphous solid. So what is crystalline solid? What is amorphous solid? Okay, so actually I have discussed about crystalline and amorphous solid also in class 11, but I will discuss it in detail because we have we are covering these two parts in class 12 syllabus, so we will discuss it in detail. So basically the crystalline solids are those solids which are basically made by ionic compounds. Okay, the ionic solids generally constitute crystalline solids. Crystalline solids, what is the special feature of a crystalline solids? Crystalline solids have a regular geometry, okay, or a regular shape, regular arrangement of the molecule. What do you mean by regular arrangement of the molecule? Okay, so the regular arrangement of the molecule is that suppose I am arranging, I have 100 or 150 cricket balls, okay, cricket balls, and what I am doing, that I am placing them one after another. I am stacking them up. Okay. Then suppose I have a box, so I placed suppose 10 balls, 9, so it has 8 balls. So I arranged 8 balls, and then I will give again 8 balls, and so on. Okay, so 8 balls in a row, and in this way I am arranging the cricket balls. So what is happening here? We have a repeating pattern. Okay, we have a repeating pattern. It has a similar repeating pattern, that a layer of balls. So if I cut out anything, I will see a square. Okay, so if I choose any 4 balls from this arrangement, I will get a square. From anywhere if I take 4 balls, I will get something like square. So what does it mean? It means that it has a regular shape, regular geometry. It has been fixed in a particular peculiar manner. Okay, so this is the special characteristics of crystalline solid. Okay, this is what crystalline solid is. And generally ionic compounds like sodium chloride, okay, then your potassium chloride, potassium bromide, zinc sulfide, so they are basically ionic in nature and they form crystalline solids. Now what is amorphous solid? How it is different from crystalline solid? Now let us take the same example, that I have some cricket balls and I have a box. Okay, I have a box and I am arranging cricket balls. Now since I have written amorphous solid and I have not written gas or liquid, so they must stay very close, the intermolecular spacing should be minimum so that they remain in the solid phase. So what, suppose 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball, 4th ball, 5th ball, 6th ball, 7th ball, 8th ball, 9th ball. You know, I have arranged them, though the molecules are very close to each other, but they are, you know, arranged randomly. I just, you know, I took the balls and threw them on the box, so they will settle down. So few are like triangle, this is different triangle. So what it tells us that their intermolecular geometry is not, you know, fixed, okay, or not regular. They have an irregular geometry, okay, and they may form a repeating pattern, but not to the, you know, long ranges. Their geometry is repeated to very short range in the molecule, okay. So they have irregular geometry, okay, or irregular shapes in their intermolecular arrangements. So now what happens? What these arrangements, what the difference in these arrangements does to the crystalline and amorphous solids. So there are few basic differences between crystalline and amorphous solids. That means in their properties. I will discuss a few. Like amorphous solids, since their geometry is not regular, okay, so they are generally soft, okay. Amorphous solids are soft in nature, okay, they are soft. And crystalline solids, since crystalline solids have a, and we will see it later, since they have ionic, you know, ionic molecules or ionic bonds, the compound which contains ionic bond from crystalline solids. So what happens? They are brittle in nature. That means if I take a, you know, ionic crystal and if I hammer it, it will break, okay. It will not get squeezed or elongated, okay, it will break, okay. So they are brittle. And amorphous solids are, they are somewhat, you know, they can be stretched or something. They are not brittle as crystalline solids, okay. And the basic difference is they are soft, okay. One more very important difference between the crystalline and amorphous solids are that the melting point, okay. Crystalline solids have sharp melting points, sharp melting point. So what do you mean by sharp melting point? Sharp melting point means that they have a particular fixed temperature at which they, you know, converts from solid to liquid phase. That means suppose if I have suppose for any molecule, if I have 17 degrees centigrade, the melting point is suppose 17 degrees centigrade. So whatever be the condition, it will melt on 17 degrees centigrade, okay. So it has a fixed melting point, fixed point, and the fixed point is 17 degrees centigrade. At 17 degrees centigrade it will melt, okay. But there are few solids which do not have, you know, a fixed point or fixed temperature for the melting. You know, they have a range of melting point. They have a range for their melting point. That means suppose a temperature T1 and a temperature T2. So they will melt, you know, between this range, okay, between this range. That means they will start few molecules because since that solid is made up of, you know, large number of particles, large number of different molecular elements. So what will happen? It will start melting on T1 and it will, you know, keep going on melting, and at T2 probably it will melt completely, okay, the complete solid. So these kinds of solids have a very special use. Okay, just because they have a range for their temperature, they can be used for a special purpose. Like plastic is an amorphous solid, and plastic has a range of its melting point. So what happens if you take a piece of plastic and you put it into the fire? You will see that what happens, suppose if I have sodium chloride and if I have plastic, I would like to tell you the difference, how they will how different they will melt. So sodium chloride, you are heating the sodium chloride is solid. At the particular temperature, the entire content will turn to liquid. Okay, it will go to its liquid phase. Okay, but what will happen in the plastic, if I start heating, gradually it will become soft. Okay, then it will, like, you will see that you can stretch it, you can mold it, you can compress it. It will become very flexible as you heat it, but it has not turned completely into the liquid. It has overall a solid structure, but it has softened a bit. So what happens, this range of temperature gives us a very good opportunity to mold these solids. Okay, we can soften their appearance, and what we can do on that softened stage, we can give them a particular shape and then remove the heat, and they will solidify in the particular shape. Okay, so they can be molded. Okay, these solids at this temperature range, we will soften them, and then we will do what? They will mold them. We will mold them in particular structures. And you see how different structures we can have with a plastic. It has a different structure, this bottle has a different structure, this cap has a very different structure. So we can mold them in different shapes. Okay, so this is possible in amorphous solids because they have range of melting point. Okay, now crystalline solids are called anisotropic, and amorphous solids are called isotropic on the other hand. Now, what is basic difference between anisotropic and isotropic solids, or what is isotropic and isotropic? So basically, anisotropic and isotropic solids, so we will discuss about anisotropic first. So anisotropic tells us that in crystalline solids, what happens, some physical properties like electrical conductivity or the refractive index. Okay, so the refractive index or electrical resistance, they have different values when when we check them, or when we try to calculate their values, they will give different results. That means, suppose if I have taken a solid, if I check in this direction and this direction, I will get different results. Okay, different results for different directions. That means if I change the direction of my observation, I will get a different result. In crystalline solids, that means their physical properties are direction dependent. In different directions, they show different values, but and this is because their molecular arrangement. Okay, since they have a fixed arrangement like this, suppose actually I should draw it, some should be small particles, and you will see such drawing in your NCERT book. and you will see something like this. Okay, now if you see this breaking, you will see that if I break like this, I will get a different cutouts, and if I cut it like this, I will get different, you know, cutouts. Okay, but since in amorphous solids, their arrangement do not persist through long ranges, they have only a short range, you know, regular arrangement. That's why they don't show this variation. Okay, now if you go through your NCERT books, you will get few differences. You know, they are tabled in a very structured manner, and only these things have been discussed there. Then what is the basic differences between crystalline and amorphous solids? Okay, now we will discuss a very peculiar thing about amorphous solid. One thing, in amorphous solid, actually the arrangement of molecules in amorphous solid is very similar to that of the liquid. Okay, the arrangement is very similar to that of the liquid, not exactly like the liquid, but similar to the liquids. Okay, what is the difference? In liquids, the molecules are, you know, the intermolecular distance is comparatively more than the amorphous solid, but I am not talking about the intermolecular distance, I am talking about the arrangement pattern. So arrangement pattern in amorphous and liquids are somewhat similar. Okay, so this is the reason amorphous solids are sometimes called pseudo solids. Okay, pseudo solids or supercooled liquid. Pseudo solids or supercooled liquids. So what is pseudo solids or supercooled liquids? Like suppose glass. Glass is amorphous solid. Okay, we know that we can mold glass in different shapes. It has a range of temperature. It has no sharp melting point, so we can mold it. Okay, so glass is amorphous solid, isotropic in nature, because remember, for a particular glass, refractive index is fixed. It is 1.5 for flint glass. Okay, so it's fixed. It does not change if I change the observation angle. Okay, now the main thing about this solid, pseudo solid or supercooled liquid is that amorphous solid has a tendency to flow. Well, this is, you know, not expected in solids. Solids must not flow, okay, because their intermolecular interactions are so good, their arrangement is so rigid that they must not move, you know, relative to each other. The molecules must not move relative to each other. But we see that in glass, in solids like glass, we see that constituent particles does move over a long period of time. You can observe if you go and visit a building which is 50 or 60 years old and which has a jolted windows. Okay, you will see that lower part of the glass panels are thicker than the upper part of the glass panel. Okay, lower parts becomes thicker and thicker and thicker as, you know, time passes or as it ages. Okay, with time. So suppose if I have a window panel, okay, it is made up of glass, and if the lower part is thicker than the upper part, what does it mean? It means that particles from the upper part must have traveled to the lower part. There is no other way it could get thicker. Okay, so for those who can find it difficult in English, you know, क्या है, आप पुराने बिल्डिंग्स में अगर जाओगे तो आप देखोगे कि जो ग्लास के पैनल्स होते हैं, जो कांच से बने हुए खिड़कियां होती है ना, उसका जो निचला हिस्सा है वो ज़्यादा मोटा होता है, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा मोटा होता है कंपेयर टू द अपर पैनल। जो लोग बस में ट्रेवल करते हैं ना, नाइट सुपर बसेस, दोज हु ट्रेवल थ्रू नाइट सुपर बसेस, उन्होंने देखा होगा कि ये प्रॉब्लम पुरानी बसेस में भी, जिनमें सॉलिड फ्रेम्स होते हैं विंडोज़ को स्लाइड करने के लिए, कुछ दिनों के बाद, कुछ सालों के बाद क्या होता है, सिंस बसेस में क्या होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा जर्किंग होती है, बहुत एग्जॉर्शन होता है, तो कुछ दिनों के बाद क्या होता है कि वो विंडो बहुत अच्छे से स्लाइड नहीं होता, ठीक है, निचला हिस्सा थोड़ा मोटा हो जाता है, ठीक है। सो ये नीचे वाला हिस्सा जो है क्या होता है, थोड़ा सा थिक, थोड़ा मोटा हो जाता है। ओके, सो द रीज़न इज दैट यहाँ बाहर से तो कोई पार्टिकल आ नहीं सकता, ओके, नथिंग इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड, ओके, so and mass is conserved. So what is happening actually, basically the particles from the upper sections is traveling or flowing down to the lower section, so lower section is becoming thicker and thicker and thicker by the time, okay. So it tells us that glass has a relative intermolecular movement. And if there is a relative intermolecular movement, then it must fall in the category of fluids because they can flow. So just like the fluids, pseudo solids can also flow very slowly, but they can flow, we can see. So that's why, because of this nature, they are termed as pseudo solids or super cooled liquids, and glass is example of super cooled liquid, okay, and it is amorphous in nature. Now we will see another classification of solids depending on the classification of solids, okay, depending on their molecular structures, different kinds of. So first we will see molecular solids. Molecular solids. So there are basically three types of molecular solids. One, non-polar, okay, and don't get confused. Sometimes when I talk about non-polar solids, the students get confused. They say that, sir, non-polar compounds are generally gaseous, so why we are discussing non-polar compounds in solid state? Because like hydrogen, oxygen, they are all what we say, gaseous in nature. Yeah, it's true that most of the non-polar molecules that we know are gaseous in nature, but there are few non-polar molecules which are not gaseous in nature, like iodine. Iodine is non-polar, but it is solid, okay, it's a solid, okay. Bromine is a non-polar molecule, but it is liquid at normal temperature, okay. And even those non-polar compounds which are gaseous in nature, if we cool them down, they will convert to solid, okay. We can make their solids phase, like carbon dioxide is non-polar in nature, but solid CO2 does exist. Dry ice, you all know dry ice. Dry ice is the solid phase of carbon dioxide. So though carbon dioxide is gaseous and non-polar in nature, but its solid phase does exist. So we will discuss, we will not go to their geometries and different structures. We will just see that. So what are the nature when the solid is non-polar, okay. So non-polar molecular solids, what will happen, since the intermolecular forces are weak, they have a weak intermolecular force, obviously. because they have only van der Waals forces, London forces, okay, and we know that most of the time it is induced dipole, okay. So this force, we know, we have studied that these forces are very weak, okay. So since they are weak, so definitely their melting point will be very low, okay, very low. That means they will convert to liquid phase at very lower temperatures, okay. So if melting point is very low, that means that generally non-polar solids are gaseous at room temperature, okay. The examples are hydrogen, oxygen, I2, Br2, you know. So these are some non-polar molecular solids, okay, those which have, you know, covalent bonds. So where we know about the polar and non-polar bonds. So when the bond is non-polar, the solid is also non-polar molecular solid. Now we will see another one is polar molecular solid. So obviously polar molecular solid is a solid which has a, you know, polar molecule in it, like HCl, okay, SO2. So in polar molecules, they also have very low melting point, but compared to non-polar solids, they have a higher melting point. Relatively they have a higher melting point, okay, because of the dipole interaction. That means the intermolecular forces are stronger in polar molecular solids, okay. Now we have last one, that is hydrogen bonded solids. Hydrogen bonded solids. So hydrogen bonded solids are those solids which contain hydrogen bond, like water, hydrogen fluoride, HF. So these things contains, you know, hydrogen bond. And I have told you earlier in class 11, in chemical bonding we discussed that, I told you that any question related to melting point, boiling point, surface tension, hydrogen bonding, you know that trick. So water, hydrogen fluoride, okay, they have what? They have comparatively higher melting points, boiling points. And why? Because of this hydrogen bonding, okay. Hydrogen bonding gives it a extra intermolecular force. Apart from this van der Waals interaction or van der Waals force, there is a hydrogen bonding in water and, you know, hydrogen fluoride. So if we compare HCl, you know, HCl is, you know, something like HX. So HCl is a gas, but HF is a liquid at room temperature. And why? Because HCl has no hydrogen bonding in it. It's just a polar solid. But in HF it has a hydrogen bond, and due to this hydrogen bond, it is liquid at normal temperature, normal room temperature, okay. So we will discuss few more classifications in our next video, okay. Thank you.